You know what would probably make the second half of the first season of The Owl House really good? Oh, and you know what will make it even better? But in all seriousness, let's go ahead and talk about how this new episode of The Owl House called Sense and Insensitivity. Hey everybody, Bloodman Bobby here, and yes, as promised, I'm going to be reviewing the new Owl House episodes, and we're going to be starting off with the latest one, Sense and Insensitivity, and hopefully this time I'll be able to catch up on the series as new episodes come out. Sense and Insensitivity, and as you can guess, this episode has to deal with books. So in Sense and Insensitivity, Luz and King want to enter this writing competition, basically write this novel. Luz wants to do it because she has a genuine passion for reading and she wants to be a writer, or I think that's evident in her love for the Azura books. And King mainly wants to do it for the power and fame. And unfortunately, these two characters have a falling out when they try to collaborate. And in the meantime, Eda discovers that her sister Lilith wants to find this bloom of eternal youth, which is this flower that, as the name implies, grants eternal youth. So she sets off to see if she can find this flower before her sister. So as far as Owl House episodes go, I would say this one is one of the okay ones. It's kind of what you would expect out of a story where two writers try to team up together and they have a falling out. You know, things happen where Luz and King, they try to collaborate despite their differences. Luz wants to write a magical story with romance, while King wants to write a really violent story with lots of violence and blood, as the intro implies, and it doesn't really work out. King doesn't really respect Luz's ideas, and they go their separate ways. But it is nice that in the end that they do have a moment of respect for each other, and it is clear that throughout all this, despite their differences, ultimately they do see each other as friends. So it is really nice to see here. I think for me, what I liked most about this episode is more of the humor and the more character-driven moments. Like, it is kind of enjoyable seeing King enjoy the spotlight when his book becomes a really huge success and he's getting all famous, and they put up signs of him on, like, the streets, and the signs have him say his trademark phrase, "Wah!" And there's even a nonchalant sign where it has a speech bubble that says, "Give me your money," or something to that effect. And some of the jokes they have with his fans, I like the in-jokes they have with his fans. Like, one of them is like asking King, "When is the sequel going to come out?" And this other fan says if she doesn't like the sequel to King's book, then she basically says that she's going to trash it for her entire life. So it is, so I would say that those scenes are quite humorous. I also like in one of the brainstorming scenes between King and Luz, there's a scene where Luz encourages King to come up with some ideas for what he wants to put in his story, and he just writes down one word at first, violence, and then Luz is like, oh, do you have any other ideas? And then King writes down the word blood with a smiley face. So those kind of jokes, I think, made the episode really enjoyable. And there's also a scene where we find out what King's publisher is really up to. I'm not going to get super spoilery in this episode, but we find out that this character has put up some kind of trap where these other characters are like trapped in a cube, and he opens the suitcase and we see that what it looks like when these characters are trapped. I thought that was a nice moment of creative imagery. So I thought the humor in this episode was really entertaining. I think what I like the most about this episode, though, is when we watch the relationship between Eda and Lilith. Even though we could see in sprinklings in some other episodes that we do see, even though Eda and Lilith are on opposing sides, they still, respect each other as siblings. I think this episode really fleshes it out, and we see it the most here. There's a scene where we see Eda save Lilith from this spider crab monster when Lilith gets tied up in this web, and there's even a scene where they defeat another enemy together. I'm not going to give away who that enemy is here because that's kind of a spoiler. I do like that we get a much better sense of what their relationship is like, and it's not that the two characters really hate each other or something like that. In fact, Lilith did say in a prior episode that she really wants Eda to join the Emperor's Coven, but we get more clarification on like what, you know, she wants to do. It's not that she wants to destroy Eda necessarily. She wants to, you know, wait for the day when Eda is ready to join the Emperor's Coven. So I thought that sort of, you know, the understanding between the two characters and the fleshing out of their sibling relationship was really nice. It's probably my favorite aspect of the episode. As far as Sense and Insensitivity goes, it's a decent episode. I wouldn't necessarily call it like it's a serviceable episode as far as telling the story of two writers coming together, having their falling out, but they have their moment of understanding. It works okay, although I think much of the enjoyment of this episode comes from the humor, as well as seeing the relationship of Eda and Lilith get more fleshed out. It honestly kind of makes me wonder, especially with how the tension between Luz and Amity is starting to sort of thaw out. It kind of makes me wonder if we're going to see maybe in the future, are we going to see maybe Lilith join like Eda, like go more so on Eda's side, and they kind of come together. And it just kind of reminds me of the Witches Duel episode where we see that Amity is Lilith's protege, and since we're seeing Luz and Amity are starting to have a cooling of the tensions, and this episode shows that deep down, Eda and Lilith really respect each other. They just are siding with really drastically different people. Well, it kind of makes me wonder if we're going to get an episode down the line where one character joins the other side or something like that. So as far as Sense and Insensitivity, it's a pretty decent episode. I would say it's at least worth one viewing. If anything, for both the humorous scenes, like when King becomes really famous with his story, as well as the scenes with Eda and Lilith. I think that's what really makes this episode really enjoyable. That is my thoughts on Sense and Insensitivity. Have you seen this episode? Have you seen the other Owl House episodes up to this point? I have reviewed the other Owl House episodes that have been released in the States in prior live streams, so if you want to check those out, you could check out those reviews on my channel. Leave all your thoughts on Sense and Insensitivity and the Owl House down below in the comments, and until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hi everyone, thanks for watching this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos, and ring the bell to be notified about my latest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on social media for my latest opinions and video updates. I hope to see you next time.